When I was a kid, I didn't just have the usual fears. I wasn't afraid of monsters under the bed or whatever kids are supposed to be afraid of. It was something else, something that was always there, but I didn't know how to explain it at the time. I was 5 when it started, but I didn't have the words for it back then. I just felt it, the weird, heavy feeling that I wasn't alone, even though I couldn't see anyone. It wasn't like the normal kind of childhood anxiety. It was worse. Something that stuck with me, followed me around like a shadow. I couldn't shake it off. My room was small, just enough space for my bed, a little dresser, and a window that looked out at the yard. But no matter how normal it seemed during the day, at night, it never felt like my room. It always felt wrong. There was the weight in the air, this strange presence that made the darkness feel alive, like something was watching me, even though I couldn't see it. It was always just there. I remember laying awake at night, staring into the dark corners of my room, waiting for the inevitable. Those moments when the air would grow thick, like something was creeping closer. And it wasn't just a feeling, it was real. I could hear things, footsteps, slowly, heavy, echoing down the hall. They weren't normal house creaks. This was something different. These steps were deliberate, like someone was pacing through the house. The house wasn't that big, so I knew it wasn't just the old floorboards settling. I'd lie there, frozen, heart racing, pretending I was imagining it, but I knew I wasn't. And then there was the grass. One day when I was walking home from school, I cut through the field behind the house. I hated being there alone. The tall grass would rustle like something was moving through it, keeping pace with me. I'd look around, but there was nothing, just the wind and the swaying grass. But when I looked back, the movement didn't stop. It was too deliberate, my heart pounding in my chest as I started to run, the footsteps right behind me. Even though I couldn't see anyone, it felt like something was chasing me, something right on my heels. When I finally got inside, I slammed the door behind me, breathless. The feeling didn't go away, though it stayed with me, like whatever it was just waiting for me to look away so it could come closer. And the worst part, it wasn't just me. I started hearing stories from my mom, not directly to me, but I overheard her talking to one of her friends one night. She was telling her about these strange knocks she'd been hearing. 3 sharp raps, always around 3 in the morning. She thought it was just the house, maybe the fridge or the pipes making the noise. But the knocks kept coming, so she decided to stay up one night to figure it out. She was sitting in the kitchen, lights off, waiting in silence when it happened again. 3 loud knocks right against the wall. She followed the sound, thinking it was coming from somewhere. It led her to the pantry, but when she opened the door, there was nothing there. No one, just darkness and a glow. For a while, she tried to brush it off as nothing, but then the knocks turned violent, like something was banging on the wall with all its might. And then a deep growling voice said, "Get out." Hearing her talk about it made my blood run cold. I didn't feel safe in the house anymore. Everything felt wrong. I couldn't stop thinking about what she had said. The house didn't feel like home. It felt haunted. Things didn't improve after that. In fact, they got worse. By the time I was 10, the feeling of being watched wasn't a feeling. It was real. It started with the shadows. They would stretch across my room, moving like they were alive. I'd lie in bed holding my breath, waiting for them to pass, but they'd always felt like they were getting closer. There were times when I'd hear whispers, like someone was speaking just behind me. Sometimes I'd hear faint footsteps or taps on the walls, but when I looked, nothing. Then one night, it started touching me. At first, it was just a light tug on my sleeve, like someone was trying to get my attention. But it didn't stop there. It got worse. I'd feel something pulling on my clothes, or tapping on my arm or shoulder. It wasn't just a one-off. It happened almost every night. I'd scream for my mom, but when she came in, the room was empty. The shadows would vanish. The whispers would stop, but I could still feel it lingering in the air. By the time I was 16, I'd gotten used to it. Not that I wanted to, but it was like I couldn't avoid it anymore. The presence was just always there, just on the edge of my awareness. But that was when things started getting physical. That's when we got Jake, the German Shepherd. He was huge, protective, and loyal. He seemed to sense something that I couldn't. At night, I'd wake up and see him staring off at the corner of the room, growling softly, his body tense. He would refuse to leave the room, pacing, growling, his eyes locked on some visible thing that I couldn't see. One night, I woke up to an insane pressure on my chest. It felt like something was sitting on me, pinning me down. When I opened my eyes, I saw Jake, his massive body draped over me, his teeth bared and his eyes locked on the room. He was growling deeply, low and menacing. I looked around. There was nothing there, nothing that I could see anyway. But Jake was acting like there was something in the room, something he didn't trust. He wouldn't stop growling. He wouldn't leave my side. It lasted for what felt like forever, but finally he stopped. He got off of me, but stayed close, watching the room as though it was still there. When it was over, I felt shaking, scared, but at the same time, I felt safe, like Jake was keeping it at bay, keeping whatever it was from getting to me. The weird thing was, even as I got older, the experiences didn't stop. They weren't as frequent, but they still happened. That presence, whatever it was still there, lurking in the background, waiting. Sometimes it would brush past me, or I'd feel it, or see it just out of the corner of my eyes. It was never gone. I don't know if I'll ever be rid of it. Maybe it's something I'll always feel, that weight in the air, that sense that I'm not alone. Maybe it's just part of me now. Whatever it is, I can't ignore it. It's like it's always there, just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to make itself known again. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something that sounds insane, and honestly, I don't even know why I'm telling you now. But I guess it's been bugging me for years, and maybe I just want someone to know what happened. I'm not expecting you to believe me. No one ever did. But this is my version of events that happened that summer. And if you think I'm crazy, that's fine. I don't blame you. So, when I was younger, my older siblings and I would hang out at the lake house in the summer. You know, the usual kid stuff. Bonfires, messing around, talking crap about whatever was scaring us or bugging us that week. But one night, something happened that I'll never forget. We were all walking back from the neighbor's campfire. The fire was still crackling behind us, and it was one of those nights where the whole sky was just dark. No moon, no stars. My siblings, who were a bit older than me, were joking and laughing, and the rest of us, we didn't really think much of it. The road back to the house wasn't long, just a little shortcut through the woods. But then, I don't know how to explain it, but things got weird, like too quiet. You know how when it's so quiet, you start hearing things you shouldn't? Like every little snap of a twig sounded so loud, and then out of nowhere, we heard something in the bushes, At first, it sounded like an animal, but there was something wrong about it. It was too fast, like it was moving way quicker than it should have been. We kept walking. I don't know why, but we all did. Maybe we were just trying to be brave, or maybe we thought it was nothing. But then it got worse. There was more rustling, and it was getting closer. My heart was pounding, but no one said anything. No one wanted to look scared. But that's when the footsteps, like the sounds of something following us, were getting too real to ignore. We started running, not even looking back. We just ran as fast as we could down that road until we were inside the house, slamming the door shut behind us. It was quiet again, no more rustling, but I swear the air felt heavy. We didn't say anything, but we all knew something wasn't right. It felt wrong. We tried to convince ourselves that it was just a prank, but we couldn't shake that feeling that we weren't alone. A couple of nights later, we were at the neighbor's house again, all sitting around another fire. It felt like the same as the night before, but then there were noises in the woods again, like weird, low moaning, almost like something was hurt, but not in a natural way. We thought it was some animal at first, but it just didn't sound right. And then it happened again. That thing, the thing we thought was just a prank. It didn't look human, or it didn't look like anything I've ever seen. It was like I don't even know how to explain it. It was a dark shadow, but it had these white pants, like really bright white pants that didn't match anything. Didn't match anything at all. Just the rest was dark. You could barely see the shape, but those pants, they were glowing almost, but not in a normal way. And it started chasing us. No joke. It came right out of the trees, fast like it was coming after us on purpose. We all started screaming and just started running like we'd never run before. We got to the house, and we were all scrambling to get inside. But when we turned around, it was gone. Just gone. The thing that scared us wasn't even the chasing part. It was the fact that none of us could explain what had just happened. It wasn't a prank. No one was trying to mess with us, and we never saw anything like it. But after that, no one ever wanted to go down that road at night. And honestly, we never talked about it much either. Not really. It just stayed with us, you know? But here's the part I haven't told you. We had cousins visiting that summer, and they thought we were full of crap when we told them about what happened. They'd been laughing at us, making jokes, like they thought we were just scaring ourselves. They even said we were just being dramatic, probably making up stories, or worse, blaming them for trying to prank us. They were convinced it was just some dumb joke. Then, a few nights after the whole chase thing happened, the cousins and all of us, we were all hanging out at a bonfire down the road. We'd been laughing and talking, acting like everything was normal. But when we were walking home, again, in the dark, everything felt different. That same weird, heavy air, the same feeling of something not right. We heard noises from the woods again, but this time, it wasn't rustling or animal sounds. It was weird moans, like someone was in pain, but it wasn't an animal, and it sure as hell wasn't human. It was like something was out there. So like any other group of teenagers, we started yelling at the woods, thinking it was just the older kids messing with us maybe. But that's when it happened. The same thing. The one we had seen a few nights ago. It came out of the trees, but this time, it wasn't just us seeing it. Our cousins were there, and they were seeing it too. And let me tell you, they weren't laughing anymore. They weren't making fun of us. They were running just like we did, screaming their heads off, and none of us could stop to figure out what was going on. They swore they saw it clearly, this dark figure, almost like it was invisible except for these really bright white pants. They said it wasn't human, that it was just something that wasn't supposed to be there. But when we got inside and turned to look, it was gone, just like before. But this time, it wasn't funny. We didn't even talk about it that night. We just locked the door and tried to pretend everything was normal. But the next morning, my cousins came up to me, saying they didn't know what the hell they saw, but they knew it wasn't some prank. They were just as freaked out as we were. And yeah, after that, no one ever went down that road at night ever again. It was like we were marked or something. Like that thing, whatever it was, knew who we were. We stayed away, and I think it stayed away too. But there's still a part of me that wonders what the hell it was. So yeah, that's my story. If you believe it, cool. If not, well, I get it. But you won't catch me walking down that road in the dark again. No way. Not after what we saw. Have an unsettling story of your own you'd like to share? Send it to Paranormal Terrors. It could be featured in one of our videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss one of our chilling tales.